The storm that reached Reno yesterday was only the edge of a huge front stretched across the entire West. Over Nevada, that front came down as rain. Over Oregon, it delivered almost no water at all, but it struck with lightning. Per meteorologists, roughly 630 lightning strikes were counted over Oregon on Thursday alone. Counting continued into the night as storms were still moving across the state. These are called dry thunderstorms. They carry lightning and gusty wind, but almost no rain that reaches the ground. By Thursday evening, 3 Oregon counties, Klamath, Lake, and Malheur, counted roughly 11 new fire starts. All of them began tiny, from 1/10 of an acre to 3/4. A start that size is smaller than a garden plot. The problem is that the ground beneath it is dried out enough that each one can grow for hours. Dry lightning has one more trait firefighters talk about. A strike can hit a tree without setting it alight right away. Fire can smolder inside the trunk or under the roots for several days. These are called holdover fires, and they surface later when temperatures rise or wind arrives. That means yesterday's 630 strikes have not finished their work. One of yesterday's starts had grown nearly 450 times over by morning. We will get to that one in a minute. Nationwide, 9 new fires grew large enough over the past day to be classified as major incidents. The day before, that number was 4. It doubled in 24 hours. 2 of the new large fires appeared in Oregon, 1 in Idaho, 2 more in Colorado and South Dakota, and 4 across the South in Oklahoma, Virginia, Texas, and Louisiana. In total, 126 new fire starts were recorded nationwide yesterday. The day before, there were 103. The day before that, 84. That number has climbed 3 days running. The start that grew 450 times over began Thursday afternoon at the shoulder of an interstate highway in Oregon. Per the State Forestry Department, it measured roughly 1 acre when it was found. That is a patch of grass and brush at mile 51 north of the city of Rogue River. By that same evening, the fire had burned about 450 acres and was not contained by a single percent. It was named the Fielder Mountain Fire, after the mountain whose slope the fire ran up. Per the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, a Level 3 Go Now evacuation was issued at 4:26 in the afternoon. It covered 2 zones along the highway. 45 minutes later, Level 3 reached the zone beside the city of Rogue River itself, along West Evans Creek Road. Neighboring zones were placed at Levels 2 and 1. In neighboring Josephine County, Level 1 was issued for 1 more zone. The fire came out right onto Interstate 5. That is the main artery of the West Coast, running from the Mexican border to the Canadian one. Per the Oregon Department of Transportation, around 4 in the afternoon, the northbound lanes were narrowed to 3 miles north of the city. Then traffic was shut down. At 5:30, the northbound side opened again, but not for ordinary travel. It was opened so people in the Level 3 zones could get out. The detour was routed onto Highway 99, and that backed up as well. The interstate was fully restored around 7 in the evening. 11 aircraft worked the fire that evening. Among them, 5 heavy helicopters, 2 medium ones, air tankers, a lead plane, and an air attack platform. On the ground, there were 15 hand crews, 14 engines, 7 dozers, and 7 water tenders. The State Forestry Department called it a relentless air and ground attack throughout the afternoon and evening. Crews are working a steep slope where fire is climbing toward the ridge. A separate hazard there, firefighters say, is scorched trees that can fall. By nightfall, the temperature dropped noticeably and humidity came back up. That gave crews a chance to work the fire's edge directly. Not a single structure has been lost on this fire so far. The cause is under investigation. A temporary evacuation point was set up at Valley of the Rogue State Park in Gold Hill. A shelter for people and small animals opened at North Middle School on Highland Avenue. If you or someone you love lives in one of the zones we are covering today, subscribe to the channel. We break these fires down every day, so you will not have to hunt for the numbers yourself. Northern California has only 1 large uncontained fire right now, and it is burning on tribal reservation land. It was named for the mile marker on the highway where it was spotted, the MP-18 fire. It began on the evening of the 7th of August near Norton Creek. Per this morning's report, it has burned 4,605 acres. In one day, the fire added nearly 1,000 acres, growing by about a quarter. Containment stands at 5%. The fire is burning 2 miles north of the community of Hoopa on the Hoopa Valley Reservation and in the 6 Rivers National Forest. It is being run by the Hoopa Tribal Fire Department together with California Interagency Management Team 1. More than 1,100 people are working the fire now, up by nearly 300 in a day. Highway 96 is closed between the communities of Whitechpec and Hoopa from mile 15 to mile 21. That is the only road along the Trinity River through this stretch. There is no detour around it. Officials list what is under threat, and that list is different from the usual one. Alongside structures and power lines, it names tribal timberlands, along with natural and cultural resources. For the tribe, the forest is not just trees on a hillside. It is the community's income and the place where sites stand that cannot be rebuilt. A burned house can be built again. A place the tribe holds sacred cannot. Tribal timberlands are also jobs. Communities manage these forests themselves, sell the timber, and fund schools, roads, and services with the money. When a forest like that burns, the community loses more than trees. It loses part of its budget for years to come. That is exactly why a fire on reservation land is run jointly. The tribal fire department knows the ground, and the interagency team brings equipment and people. Evacuation warnings are in effect for several zones around the community, and one zone is already under an order. A temporary point for evacuees was set up at the Hoopa neighborhood facility. The fire is moving across steep slopes that are hard to reach. Per the report, it is behaving actively, making short runs into the tree crowns and throwing embers. Montana has 2 fires burning near towns right now, and neither one is contained by even 1%. The first is called Sand Creek. Per this morning's federal report, it has burned 27,736 acres. That is more than 43 square miles. The fire is burning 5 miles east of the town of Wisdom. Evacuations there are in effect, and under threat, in the report's own words, are numerous structures and communication infrastructure. Containment on this fire is 0%. More than 300 people are working it. The projected full containment date listed in the report is the 31st of October. That is not a typo. The team does not expect to close a line around this fire before the end of autumn. 12 miles from the same town, a second fire is burning, called Bobcat Lakes. It has covered 9,680 acres, and its containment is 6%. Both fires are run by one management team. Another fire with 0 containment and active evacuations is burning 24 miles southwest of the town of Phillipsburg. It is called the Moose Fire. Per this morning's report, it has burned 5,678 acres. Homes are under threat there, and 30 miles northeast of Condon, the Silvertip Fire is burning. 6,681 acres, containment 0, structures threatened. 3 fires in one state, and not one of them has a closed line around it. Rain fell over the Sand Creek area yesterday, and the report notes that separately. The fire added only 160 acres in a day, though the day before it was growing nearly 50 times faster. But containment did not appear because of it. The rain cut the fire's speed, while the line around it still has not been closed by anyone. Over the past day, Montana and neighboring Idaho recorded 10 new fire starts. None of them has grown large yet. In Washington, a fire that had been smoldering for 3 weeks tripled in size over a single weekend. It is called Three Queens, and it started from lightning on the 15th of July, 6 miles from Snoqualmie Pass. Going into last weekend, it covered about 800 acres. Then the wind arrived, and in 48 hours, the fire tripled. Per this morning's report, it now stands at 3,534 acres with 0 containment. Per the Catitas County Sheriff's Office, a Level 3 evacuation is in effect around Cooper Lake. It covers cabins, camps, and the 2 forest roads that lead to them. Both roads are closed. Level 2 is in effect south of French Cabin Creek, and Level 1 at Baker Lane, west of Lake Cachess. This is not a town, but dozens of vacation cabins and campgrounds by mountain lakes. Cachess Campground and the boat launch to the lake are closed. The number of people on this fire has grown from 160 a week ago to 415 today. Farther north in the same state, the Little Giant Fire keeps growing. Per this morning's report, it has burned 128,085 acres. That is 200 square miles. Containment has risen from 5% to 7%. 2,266 people are working this fire right now. That is more than on any other fire in the country. Per a joint assessment by the Entiat Fire Department and Chelan Fire and Rescue, the fire has destroyed 26 structures, among them 2 homes, 3 cabins, and 21 outbuildings. About 2,000 more structures are listed as threatened. North of the fire, there are 2 places no road reaches at all. They are the Lucerne Landing and the village of Holden above it in the mountains. The only way in is by ferry across Lake Chelan. In summer, several hundred people live at Holden Village. The fire is still 7 or 8 miles away, and there are no evacuation orders. But crews are already moving equipment in for structure protection because people can only be taken out by water, and that takes time. And in the northeast of the state, rain fell yesterday, and you can see it in the numbers. The Sinlahecan fire did not grow over the day. It shrank by 1,071 acres. After the same rain, the Kaiser Canyon, Maudrite, and Bradeen Hill fires rose to 81, 80, and 92% containment. The same front on the same day set Oregon alight and damped down northeast Washington. The same front that passed over Oregon yesterday has not gone anywhere today. Per the federal forecast discussion for Friday, dry lightning today is expected across a wide band. It begins in northwest California, runs through the southern Cascades and all of Oregon, and reaches far western Idaho. These are the same places where 11 new starts began yesterday. And these are the same places where Fielder Mountain and the fire near Hoopa are burning now. Mixed thunderstorms, where some rain does reach the ground, are expected more widely. That covers the rest of the Northwest, Northern California, Northwest Nevada, Idaho, and western Montana. Genuinely wet thunderstorms are forecast farther south and east. That means the central and southern Great Basin, western Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and the Southwest. Humidity across the west keeps rising slowly, and temperatures are holding near normal or slightly below. There is a separate concern today on the southern plains. Southerly winds gusting to 35 miles an hour, hard heat, and low humidity are creating critical conditions there in the afternoon. And over Nevada, yesterday's rain did what crews had been waiting a week for. The bug fire rose from 3% containment to 31%, and the stallion fire from 0 to 44%. Per this morning's federal report, 6 large fires were contained across the country yesterday, while 9 new ones grew large. More open than closed. In total, 93 large fires are burning uncontained across the country right now. That number has been easing down for a 4th straight day, and that is true. But it is easing because of old fires that take weeks to put out. And over the same day, more new ones arrived than were closed. The country remains at preparedness level 5, the highest on the scale. More than 29,000 people are assigned to fires. The Northwest is still the most active region in the country, with 45 large fires uncontained. Since the start of the year, more than 48,000 fires have been recorded nationwide. They have burned 6,549,000 acres. By number of fires, that is 130% of the 10-year average. By acreage, 155%. 29,000 people sounds like a large force until you divide it by 93 fires. That averages out to around 300 people per fire, and the biggest incidents take far more. On the Little Giant fire alone, more than 2,000 are working. Somebody decides every day which fires get crews today and which fires wait. Yesterday showed one thing worth remembering. The same storm brought Nevada rain and brought Oregon 11 new fires. The difference between those two outcomes is measured in a few hundred miles and a couple of degrees of humidity. If you live in the band running from Northern California to western Idaho, a few things are worth checking today. Know your evacuation zone directly, not from memory. Know which road you will take out, if it comes to that. Highway 96 in Northern California is closed, and there is no detour around it. If you made it this far, thank you for staying with us the whole way. Tomorrow morning, we will sort out which of yesterday's 11 starts grew, and which ones crews put out overnight.